Okay, I finally have my loom set up, completely warped, and I've actually gotten some distance through this pattern. I want to show you quickly before I lower the camera what my setup looks like. It looks very messy, sorry about that. But the big thing I want to show you is how I have written out the treadling for this project on reusable index cards with erasable ink. I absolutely love these index cards. They are from Rocketbook, and if I so chose, I could keep a permanent record by photographing them. They're set up with these little gizmos in the corner so that when you take a photo of an index card with your camera, it saves it as a PDF. I just love this stuff, or as a JPEG, or whatever you want it to do. But that having been said, other things I've got. So I've got my treadling pattern because I personally cannot keep track of anything without ticking stuff off as I go. And this is how I have found things to be the most efficient. That book that I showed in the last video with the treadling pattern, it's just way too small to show. It would be way too cumbersome to do any other way. So if I set up a row of index cards where I have written out the pattern, and that's actually, I think, a good thing for me to do because I can start to see how things play out. If I have this row of index cards, I can just tick stuff off as I go. Everybody's happy. I also have a small little table to the left of my loom to hold stuff because my trap, I like to reserve just for two shuttles. My shuttle with my fine weft in it, and my stick shuttle with the heavy weft wrapped around it, and my sword. I have personally found that if I do crazy things like put my scissors in there, put a threading hook or whatever else, that I end up tangling stuff. And so once I start weaving, the thing that's going to make me most enjoy this weaving process is to just get into the flow of things and not have to think about, oh shoot, where's my shuttle? Oh shoot, I've wrapped yarn around my scissors again. Why does this keep happening? Well, the reason it keeps happening is there's just too much crap in my trap. So I like a crap-free trap. Alrighty, so I am at a certain point within my treadling pattern, and this is rep, and I can always tell where I'm at when I do what's called the plain weave part, because the colors show up in very clear stripes. And remember, this is the bright colored side of this. When I take this off the loom and show it to you, you will just see the shades of blue. So I just finished 1, 2, 3, 4 repeats of the plain weave, and now I'm ready to start weaving the pattern again. And as always in rep, the heavy weft goes first. And my treadling tells me that I need to press treadles 1 and 6. This is what's called a skeleton treadling, and it's often really useful for rep. And when I did the table runner, every time I pressed 2 treadles, I pressed them at the same time, and then I had to spend time pushing them back down so because everybody wanted to come to the party. And my friend Judy Steinkoenig of Shuttle Spindles and Skeins said, try doing them one at a time. And it turned out she was right. So thank you, Judy. So with a few caveats. And the caveat being, I've probably cranked this warp up just 1 click too tight. And the next time I advance my warp, I won't make it so tight. It's that sweet spot. And in fact, 4 shafts did come up when I pressed a treadle on the left side of the loom, but then 2 of them kind of melted back down, which is where they're supposed to be. And now you can see what's going on. You can see my blue yarns from the other layer coming up. And when I press treadle 6, and this time, not everybody came up for the ride. Some of the colors from this top layer, this bright colored layer, came up. So I am back to weaving pattern, And this is really fun. So to weave my heavy weft, I am just running my heavy weft through, making sure that the loop is in the right side. I'm running straight across, and then I'm going to beat. My next pick is my fine weft. And for this one, I raise shaft 4, and then I raise shaft 7. And this pause you're seeing is because I want to make sure I've got my feet going on the right treadles, and that is sometimes a challenge. Now, I've only got 4 shafts up, and yet I've still got a really messy shed. So to clean up the shed, I am strumming it. And because, remember, in rep weaving, you go all the way across, straight across. You don't angle your shuttle the way you would with most other weave structures. If I clean out this shed, and I can pack the threads in more firmly, and I am going to be able to run this boat shuttle with my fine weft straight across much more easily. So to me, it's way worth it than to not clean out the shed. Gotta have a clean shed, and going that way. So I've run my yarn straight across. I'm checking, okay, and see, this time my selvage thread did not get caught. It does that on some of the blocks in this pattern, but not all of them. It's very strange. So I'm going back around, making sure everybody's caught, making sure that I have not angled this weft thread, and that my selvage is good, and then I beat. All right, so next I've got 1 and 7, and I mentioned earlier that getting in the flow is, for me, one of the best parts about weaving. Well, I just had treadles 4 and 7 up. Now when I go back to the heavy weft, I need treadles 1 and 7 up, and if I had left my treadle 7 up when I beat, I wouldn't have had to do stuff again, but it's all good. And just watching the pattern develop this way, knowing that probably one of the 2 treadles from the fine weft shed will be repeated in the next heavy weft shed. Just noticing things like that makes this process a lot smoother for me, because, like I said, I am constantly losing my place. It's just a thing. I can't count. I can't do anything. I once knitted a sleeve on a sweater that was in 2 rib, 2 knit stitches, 2 purl stitches for the whole doggone sleeve. You would not believe how many times I had to rip back and fix mistakes because I couldn't count to 2. I mean, seriously. All right. But aside from all these crazy personal problems, I just made this pick, and now I am going to do, taking a moment to put on my glasses, 4 and 6, and again, beat, strum, and pack everybody in to clear out the shed. And this is also a great moment to make sure that I don't have any mistakes. So if my sword goes into this shed very easily after I've already raised the top threads and already lowered the bottom threads are in the place, I can be pretty sure that I'm going to have a much cleaner shed without any mistakes. All right, 2 and 5. Check everybody for security. 3 and 8. And I could see that there was a thread missing in the sequence, so I was able to fix it before it became a mistake. And something is just really funky going on with this selvage, and I'm just going to have to live with it. 3 and 5. And you can't see this from the camera angle, but I actually have, and I could have used my painter's tape, I have a sort of post-it tape that I've got taped to each treadle with its number on, so that every time I work my way across, I don't have to visually count off the treadles. This is a trick taught to me by my boss, Jane Patrick, and I really love it. Because again, this rhythm of beat, get the sword out and check the shed, throw the shuttle across, change change the treadles, and then do it all over again. Once this becomes rhythmic, you really just kind of lose all track of time. And I am stopping for a sec to tick off that I made one repeat of the 3 repeats I need to do of this whole series that I just wove. So let's see if I can do this next one without yakking the whole time. 1 and 6. 4 and 7. 1 and 7. 4 and 6. 2 and 5. Notice that Judy Steinkonig's suggestion of raising 1 treadle at a time is really working for me. Oh, this is such a wonderful thing. Catch that edge thread. Otherwise I will have a sloppy selvage with 1 loose thread that kitty claws can totally get into, but I do not want. 3 and 5. 2 and 8. And that's the second repeat. So that's all there is to it. I've now done 2 of 3 repeats of this portion of the treadling. As it turns out, I'm only going to do about a yard of weaving. I mentioned I'd wound 3-yard warp chains. This mat will only take up 1 of those yards, and the rest of it is doomed to become loom waste, which is kind of sad, but there it is.